Well, thank you to Raghu for a look at the future, which is normally what I do. When Michaela said we want you to do a SWOT on the kind of industry, and I said, okay, that's great, thanks very much. That could be the end of a beautiful relationship with FESPA, but we'll see how it goes. Essentially, I've been in print for 35 years, and a lot of my time is actually spent consulting with print companies and helping them improve their business. So I'm going to really position this as where I see the industry going and the issues and the challenges that print companies have. You'll see on the table, by the way, there are some sheets with a kind of SWOT lined out with strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We're going to get you to do a bit of work shortly, but if, while we're talking, you think of any particular strengths or weaknesses or threats that come into your mind, jot them down, please, because we want to capture all of this and actually use it going forward to really try and understand a bit more about what FESPA requires, what its members require, etc., etc. So, technology is driving convergence. Let's put this into some kind of context. We've got analog digital production and marketing and design, and quite often those have been quite separate. We've had agencies looking at the design side, and printers have done what they're good at, which is actually printing. But we're now in this era of big data. Essentially, consumer, customer loyalty programs, things like that. There is data out there that can be collected, can be used, and really to make print more valuable and more relevant to customers. We've also got a whole range of new digital communications and cross-media. We've got augmented reality. We've got a whole range of new tools that we can use that we've never had before. And what that means is we can now put together total solutions. Printing, communication solutions, in packaging, in commercial print, wide format, whatever you want to look at. We can actually expand the possibilities of what we can do. And I actually think this is the future of our industry. It gives us an opportunity to expand and use all of these new tools constructively to do far more than we've ever been able to do in the past. And these are people who are buying print now. These are 5 people I've come across recently who were the main print buyers in their organization. Anybody want to guess what the chief listening officer does? He listens. Yeah, essentially he buys print and marketing materials, but he listens to what's being said about his brand on Twitter, on Facebook, online, understanding which communities and audiences are being created, what's happening. From that, he decides how he's going to engage his audience. He decides how he's going to run a campaign, and whether that might be an email to start with that then goes to a piece of personalized print, how he's going to run a campaign, how he's going to sort out his packaging, his in-store point of sale, all of those things. We have to be clued into these people and understand what they're doing and what their demands are. And quite often, it's difficult to get to the right people now. Knocking on the door and asking for the print buyer no longer is relevant. So these guys are looking for solutions. They're not looking for suppliers of anything. They're looking for solutions to drive their business forward. I was interested what Ron was saying from his stats. 42% of buyers want increased integration with online media. 58% increased versioning, 65 to 70% want shorter lead times and better lead times and shorter runs. And they all want better bottom line results. That's the end of it. That's the absolutely crucial thing. But out of that, only 18% of printers are investing in VDP and personalization. Research that we've done says that over 60% of printers are really sticking to what they know. They're not transforming their business. They're not really interested in adding other services. So we've got a real disconnect going on here in the industry. Marketer's perspective. This was some stats from research that was done with 400 marketing companies in the UK. 37% do not use any analytical tools whatsoever. They run a campaign and they just don't analyze what happens to it or what the results are. 29% waste at least 20% of their budget. The problem is that most of the time they don't know which 20% it is. So actually being able to take data, to take new media technologies and print, combine all of those things, we can provide a great service to marketers, to agencies. Print can have a very different value proposition. 39% said, well, do you know what? We always tend to do, well, what the last guy did in this job. We just follow best practice in our own company, etc. So helping them get over that is really important. So in my view, the print company of the future, the really successful ones, and I'm guessing quite a few companies here, because the fact that you are here, you are knowledge leaders in the industry, essentially will have companies that are starting to look like this. But I believe the real print company of the future is going to be a marketing, IT-led business. That's going to be the real crucial differentiation from print. They're going to be a generator of business outcomes and solutions. So it's not just going to be about a product, it's going to be about the commercial outcome, the bottom line result for the client. And they're going to basically manage data. They're going to do reports and analytics. And they're going to have market intelligence that they can help really deploy technology in vertical markets and make a difference. And I'll be talking about this a bit more this afternoon, because when you get these things aligned properly, the results are absolutely dramatic. As well as that, they will be printing collaterals, newspapers, packaging, and POS, all of those things as well. They will still be key. But the things that are going to really set us apart and valuable for the customer are going to be the top things there. Just want to focus very quickly on the commercial graphic arts market. We've done a lot of work with print companies, helping them evolve into cross-media, more solution-based companies. And this is the kind of picture that we're looking at in the industry, really. 20% at the bottom are really struggling. They're hanging on with their fingernails. They're running out of cash. They've got serious problems. This 40% here are in a danger zone as well, because they're not focused on integrating new services and new technologies. We've got the middle 60% who are, they're doing things. They're starting to move. They're getting rid of the stagnation. And then we've got the top 20% who are actually succeeding. We're working with companies who will tell you, well, what global recession? We've grown the business, increased profits, you know, the last 6 or 7 years, not been an issue for us whatsoever. But there's some real basics here. Over 50% of people we interviewed in the study didn't have a business plan at all. No strategic direction. And then when we drilled into the others that did have one, actually it was a kind of marketing plan, come business plan that had usually been done for the bank to get some investment, rather than a plan that they were working to. 30% said they had a strategy to focus on print only. So that was it. We're not going to get into anything else. We're just going to stick to print. And we're basically going to roll the dice, and we're going to hope that actually that's going to be enough for us to survive and grow in the future. 25% said they hadn't started any transformation process. They knew they needed to, but actually they hadn't really thought about it properly. And this 12% at the top have already transformed their business, and they're doing really well. If we look at packaging, for example, there's an enormous opportunity, and it's around these areas here that are growing. Not the mainstream packaging, but promotional campaigns. Putting new product launches into the market, multiple low SKUs, managing campaigns as they actually go and products are phased out. The problem is, because most print companies don't do market intelligence, getting into something like packaging and understanding the supply chain is a real issue. You go and trim a poster 2 or 3 mil under, or a label, it basically doesn't have much of an issue. If you're putting that label on a high-speed filling machine, if it's 0.2 mil out, the chances are you're going to be hit with standing charges, huge amounts of waste and things like that. The opportunities are massive, but most print companies need to change their mindset and adapt to those challenges and really understand those markets a lot better before they go into them. Decorative print as well. Major players dominating the market, lots of specialist opportunities out there, but a wide range of substrates, wide range of applications. And it's not for the generalists. You really need to know your stuff in these markets. And what we've seen is there's not many new entrants into these markets because it is a challenge. And functional printing, very high, long-sighted investment required. It's now more of a science. You know, it's a manufacturing process, industrial process. Requires a strategy and credibility in that area. And okay, we can probably manufacture or we can use it to apply things to a product, but we've got to be very clear about what we're doing. So if you look at the general print industry, 80% or more are businesses of less than 20 people. What I'm talking about here now is not the market leaders, not the businesses who dominate some of the markets, but the general 80% of our industry that we need to keep vibrant and keep buoyant, because that brings money into the industry, it allows R&D for suppliers and all of those things. Now I've just put up some stuff here around industry strengths. I think we've got very good technology offerings, continuous technical innovation that always gives us something new to talk about. It was mentioned earlier, quality is now a given, and so should service, essentially with kind of online ordering and all of those kind of things. We're pretty good at processing files, managing color, also getting much better at managing data, although I would question some of that with some of the companies we go into. But we're pretty good at manufacturing products, essentially, and we can get them from A to B, and we can fulfill what customers want generally. But if we look at the opportunities, they're very much changing now. We're seeing huge changes in retail environments, in-store theatre, online shopping. That whole thing is changing. Consumer shopping trends are changing dramatically. So being able to plug into individual one-to-one kind of person or target audiences and groups is really important. Online and mobile technology. We have kind of print recognition technology now to go straight to mobile phones. So we can do a lot more in terms of looking at offers and promotions and things like that. Also, the one-to-one personalized kind of engagement and personalizing of products is a huge opportunity. It's just how do we take advantage of that? This is more and more what customers are demanding. If you look at most communication now, everybody here probably gets bank statements, you know, or they look at that online, or they get SMS updates. They don't have things printed. We have to adapt to the world around us. So, here's the weaknesses, as I see it, with the majority of the companies that we work with. A lack of high-quality professional kind of management. A lot of companies are family-owned businesses, and essentially they've grown through that, so that becomes an issue. Lack of education and focus on training. We helped run some of the seminar program at the last FESPA in London. I was amazed at how few people actually turned up, with great speakers, really great content. If I'd had a business, I'd have said to 2 or 3 of my guys, just go and plant yourself in there for 2 or 3 days, soak it up, go and learn some stuff. We just seem to have this phobia about education and learning. Lack of automation and workflow. If there's one thing that's going to really improve and make your business efficient, be able to integrate other kind of technologies into it, it's getting a completely automated workflow. Everywhere we go, workflow is such a problem, and people do not focus on it. They focus on print technology and not the workflow element. Said earlier about business planning, lack of strategic direction in where customers are going. If you don't know what's happening in a market, you don't know what your customers are going to require, you're going to get into trouble very, very quickly. And I'll talk this afternoon about a couple of companies who have actually done that. And a lack of a sales process. If I talk to print companies and say, okay, talk me through your manufacturing process. And they'll talk to me about the workflow of getting a file in, proofing a file, getting it back, ripping it, making plates, getting it on press, delivering it. Fine. Now talk to me about your sales process. And there's always a blank look. Well, surely if you've got a predictable outcome from production, you must have a predictable outcome from sales. Nobody has a sales process. And also a lack of e-commerce. We are seriously out of step as an industry with the outside world of how people want to order products and how their expectations are of dealing with companies as well. So the threats, we've got commoditization, consolidation, we all know about that, globalization, but also an opportunity to work on a global stage. Again, I'll give you some examples of that later. But a lack of profitability. If we haven't got it now, if all we're doing is competing on product and price, that will inevitably turn up. And we all know about the issues with digital media and operating a 24/7 e-commerce world. I've taken some of those things and started putting them into a SWOT here. What I'd like you to do is spend 5 minutes with those sheets and just put down as many strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats as you possibly can. I'm not seeing any pens vigorously writing at the moment, because what we want to do is collect all that information, see what you're putting down, so we can look at that and try and identify, because the industry really needs to start marrying up the strengths with the opportunities that are in the market, actually creating some strengths out of those weaknesses, and on top of that, making sure that those weaknesses don't become fatal flaws from the threats. So, off you go. Please indulge me, get some stuff on paper. I'm going to be then asking a few tables for some feedback, so I don't want to embarrass anybody. Thanks very much. Biggest threat?
Biggest threat from this table here is other industries encroaching into the industry.
Right, nice one, yeah.
Thanks, that was all my own work, that, thank you.
So what's the opportunity then?
Okay, opportunity, I'll give you an opportunity as well. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I need my glasses. Opportunities. Digital integration, is that so? Yeah, digital integration, consultative approach, working more closely with customers, upselling and cross-selling. That's some great words, aren't there? And personalisation, the opportunities.
Excellent. Over here, guys. What have we got over here? Biggest threat. Do we have the mic? Who's the spokesperson?
Biggest threat? You want to know the biggest threat we have?
Yeah.
One thing is to find the right people for the business,
right.
Staff with know-how, with the power to move the business every day and not be just an employee.
Right.
Also sales is a big thing,
okay.
to move at that every day.
So what's the biggest weakness as you see it?
Price in the market. The prices are down. Second is also the investments
right.
We have to do, and also the combination of price and turnover and investments we have to do in the future. This is
it's a challenge.
It's a challenge, yeah, a big challenge to move with that.
Okay, excellent. Have we got some opportunities over here?
Yes, we have some opportunities. So we came out that it's important to look after niches.
Right, okay.
And what you said already is to look for new applications businesses to work against the threat of the overcapacities and decreasing prices.
Right. So what's the biggest weakness as you see to kind of achieving those things?
I had no point, but as far as I heard here in the discussion on our table, it's that the workflows from the beginning of the design to a product to the end of the delivery, including is not really perfect sometimes. As a weakness, And what some PSPs are missing is that there is not an over-industry global network where suppliers, material providers, technology providers define standards.
Right. Could you put that down as well? That's a great point. Thanks. Great, we got volunteers now. It's really picking up, isn't it?
Life is one opportunity, of course, so I don't see real threats. But since we heard about 3D printing, you think like, let's look at it. I ask my son, do you understand what 3D printing is? So 3D printing feels like it may be a threat. But what I don't understand with all presentations I've seen about 3D printing, you see plastics, you see metal, you see anything, but you don't see any image. So I was wondering if 3D printing in future means, and there are a lot of members here who are suppliers, manufacturers, there should be possibility to have image and 3D combined, isn't it? Well, it's just a question, or it's no question. Maybe in 10 years we have a solution. So I think 3D could be a threat, but it will be a huge opportunity for the print industry, because print of image and 3D should be combined once.
So do you see your average kind of print company being able to migrate into 3D printing? And
I know that one of the first large format printers I know of was the Michelangelo. There was 2 statues and there was a print head, and then you could put this printer in front of anything, but you could print 3D objects. But I assume that in future there will be a device you print in 3D and at the same time you print image, I assume, because there will be a need for image on these dumb plastic white subjects.
So it could be good if we get a lot of new entrants into the market, but they're not necessarily going to be commercial printers kind of moving into that area, or there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get there. Has anybody else got any kind of input they want to share? No? Okay. Yes? Okay, excellent. Well, this will have to be the last one because we're going to be running out of time for lunch, but thank you.
Unfortunately, I'm just a journalist, but I advise everybody to read more trade magazines because there are many articles about this subject inside. But I missed this morning very much digital media, digital signage. It's very close to printed signage. And I know some companies doing very well in that area. And what I also missed is industrial printing, because those 2 subjects are closer to the wide format printing area than, for instance, in my opinion, printed electronics and 3D printing. You have to build a totally new business practicing 3D printing and printed electronics, in my opinion. And that's not the case with digital signage, for instance. I've just been to Morocco, to Casablanca. There was a company doing both, but he built 2 companies. But when people ask digital signage, he used the one company, and when people ask printed signage, he used the other company. And that's the only thing, is that he has some financial structure to implement it. But he does both, and he implements both, he combines both, etc.
Thank you very much. Right, we're going to have to wrap it up there for lunch so we keep on schedule. If you could leave your sheets on the table, because we do want to collect those and see what you've put down so we can actually use that information. So I'll hand back to Andrew, and thanks very much for your participation.
Thanks very much, Neil.